Welcome everyone to Doing Diabetes Your Way. I am one of your co-hosts, Mila Clark, and I'm here with my beautiful partner in crime, Felicia DeRose.
Hello, everybody.
We're having a really great conversation today that really speaks to how we get out of that summer slump and we jump into our back to school routines. I also want to let you all know that you can chat with us in the comments section, leave your questions, leave your comments, leave your advice. So many people are watching and can get advice from all over the place, and we want you to be a part of that as well. But I want to kick off and ask you, Felissa. Summer is busy. Like I know that you are always like running and gunning with your little one, and you keep her busy in the summer. And then back to school comes back around. So what is that shift like for you when it does happen?
That shift for me means that we're out of the house a lot earlier. So we have to get things prepared to be out earlier. Also, there is I did the before care. I paid extra to drop my daughter off early last school year, the first part of the year. And then somewhere like over Christmas break, I was doing my finances and I was like, why am I paying extra to like drop her off early? I could just have her on time. And what that meant was I had to deal with traffic, more traffic in the morning. I had to deal with carpool lines, and it shortened my personal time in the morning. So this back to school year, I will pay more to drop my daughter off early because I need that peace of mind so that I can work out in the morning. It really just stems around that. I have found that when I work out in the morning, I don't have the issues with my blood sugar significantly dropping. Like if I can get that morning workout in, my diabetes and I were much better. And so the $100 a month to drop her off early is going to be worth it for my peace of mind, for me knowing that in the morning I can do 30 minutes of exercise for me and my health. So getting a little bit of that me time back. That's what the back to school season is going to bring me. And I know you are a grad student, so tell me about some of the changes happening to you.
Yeah. So interestingly enough, like I'm remote. And so it really doesn't change my routine that much. And I'm really grateful for a lot of these programs that are remote, asynchronous, because I can still work full time and still do school. And it's a lot, but it's helpful to really have that flexibility. The one thing that I do prep for when back to school comes back is making sure that I contact all of my professors about accommodations and that my accommodations are solidified for the upcoming semester. Where I go to school, you have to re-verify each semester for your accommodations. And so it's a process of making sure like all of this is in place before I get to class so that if I need to use the accommodation, like I got accommodations for testing, for like buffers and homework assignments, even though like my program is asynchronous and I can do it at my leisure, but I wanted to make sure that I still had those in place so that if something big did happen, my grades and my enrollment and like my scholarships and all that kind of stuff wouldn't be affected if for some reason I needed to take a break or take some time or I needed to turn in something late. So like making sure that those things are in place has been really important because it's not that I use them all the time, but I appreciate knowing that I have that fallback just in case. And that's my little like flag for everyone to say like, if you have diabetes, you have accommodations. And so make sure to have it documented so that you can send it over and you can have what you're entitled to make your experience as a student more comfortable. There's no reason to suffer like just because you feel like you want to power through. It's fine. Just get the accommodations, have them as something in your back pocket just in case you need them, and then actually utilize them when you actually need them.
I agree wholeheartedly. I second, third, fourth that. As a person that taught at the university level for 15 years, and then high school for 2 years, and elementary school for one, might as well give you everything. I strongly suggested and would often tell my students get the accommodations, because what would happen is they would try to talk to me, right, like as the professor. Oh, I need this and oh, I need that. And I would tell them, listen, when you talk to me as the individual, I may or may not make those changes. I may or may not remember those accommodations. I said, but when you talk to student support services, they're the ones that send me an email that says I must
Mhm.
make those accommodations. I can't forget. I can't, like, it's not a backdoor deal. So that's what I will always tell my students. This is okay in the meantime, but you need to go talk to someone, because they're going to make sure all of your professors make those accommodations. Same thing K through 12. Talk to the school so that the teachers, all the teachers, have to make those accommodations. It is your legal right. And I always share that with my students. It is your legal right to have those accommodations, so do it.
Yeah, absolutely. And I think that one of the things that I didn't realize, because I didn't grow up as a child with any like need for accommodations. I probably needed them, but back then, early 90s, everyone was like, "You're fine, you're fine, you're high achieving," whatever. Like, meanwhile, I have terrible ADHD. But I didn't grow up in the school system as a child with type 1 diabetes. And so I didn't realize that there were actual, like, structured protections for kids that are like, 17, 18, and under, who are in elementary, middle, and high school. And so it's something that I really wanted to talk about today was 504 plans and what parents should know about a 504 plan and how they protect children with diabetes in schools. And particularly, Melissa, you brought up like this great point about how Texas is banning all cell phones in school, which is jarring when thinking about having a kid that is school aged and like not being able to reach them during the day if something happened or whatever. Like, obviously you would talk to the school. Obviously we grew up in a time where there were no cell phones in school. Like, that just didn't happen. And so I'm curious for you, especially, like, I think you live in Florida, I live in Texas, two states that are definitely both about trying to like not give what people need to actually live. I'm curious from your perspective, how you feel about 504 plans and, what you think they can do in terms of access.
Well, I do want to say the 504 plan is the student's protection. So, as long as parents understand that, it is a safeguard. It goes where you, as the parent, can't go. You can't go in that classroom every single day. But the 504 plan instructs the educator to do these things. So, definitely that should be like in your vocabulary if you are a parent with a child who has diabetes. What I want to also say is that it's important, if your child is on some of these newer technologies that rely heavily on the cell phone, to explain that, because Texas is banning cell phones this back to school time. Florida also banning cell phones. Now, I have to say, I'm in favor of kids being less on the phone. And more interaction. It's like you see kids now, they don't even play with each other. They're just head down in a different world. Some adults too. Let's just throw that out there. But we're talking about kids. So I am for the interaction that happens when you remove the devices. However, I don't think a lot of people know and understand that the cell phones now, in the terms of diabetes tech, becomes a medical device. So even me now, from my first insulin pump to the one that I'm wearing now, the one that I'm wearing now relies on the phone. And it's causing me to be on my cell phone much more than I want to be. And so I think, as you being a parent, talking to the nurse, the school, the principal, the teachers, I think you should lead with that, because maybe they are totally unaware of that. And when you are getting the protection that comes with the 504 plan, that they'll see it a little bit differently, hopefully, um, because that's just the way diabetes technology is going now, heavily on the phone. And if you don't know that, you might not fully understand.
Yeah, phones, smartwatches, like all of those kinds of tools that are now more accessible to us are like this basis for how to use a lot of these devices. Like I think about my Omnipod. I can't use my Omnipod without a phone. So even like when I had to get accommodations for testing, I had to ask if my insulin pump runs out of insulin in the middle of the test. I need to be able to go outside and get my cell phone to turn it off. And I need pause time to be able to put another one on, just like 10 minutes. But like, if it's going off in the middle of the testing environment, like that disturbs everybody else, that disturbs me. And then it's not fair for me to have to go to save my own life, basically, and lose that time on the test because that's not happening to other people. So like 504 plans are so important because they are those specific accommodations for your child, not like accommodations for everybody else or rules that everyone else has to follow. It depends on their own care, their ability to access snacks, their ability to have bathroom and water breaks when they need to. Because, you know, if you raise your hand in school and say you have to go to the bathroom, sometimes you're told that you can't go, you can't leave the classroom. You know, it helps with the academic support, emergencies. So like what staff should do in case of high blood sugars, low blood sugars, field trips. I mean, like it seems like a lot, but it gives the child so much freedom to be able to manage diabetes the way that they are aware of if they're at that age, but then also so that the adults around them can specifically know, I have to be helpful in this way.
I was just going to say, I also thought about an additional point that some people may not realize too, is that the distance from the phone to your devices matter. So when you talked about your exam thing, your exam experience, I recently took an official French exam and we couldn't have our cell phones, and I had to explain to the proctor, I don't need to have my phone in my hand, but I'm sorry to say my phone can't be further than 20 feet from me, because it's going to be a whole lot of beeping and noise being made in here. And so the proctor allowed me to put the phone face down at the desk next to me. But even in my own home, if I'm in another room, I could lose signal and then it's beeping. So yeah, this phone thing is, again, I'm not in elementary school right now, K through 12. I don't know how they're handling it, but I would have a problem with it because my phone's connected to two devices.
Yeah, it's interesting. And I think too, like in terms of technology and like all of the things that we use, the one really interesting thing that I always think about is like diabetes and diabetes stigma. And so like the 504 plan also kind of helps to dispel a lot of those myths. And I can't remember whose story this is, but I'm going to tell it because I thought it was such a good example of why these accommodations are important. If they end up watching, I hope they tell me it's their story so that I can like leave it in the comments. But somebody had mentioned one time when they were in high school, they had their insulin pump on, and it was before tubeless pumps. And at the very beginning of the year, their teacher said, if I catch you with headphones, and headphones were all corded at that time. So there were no like wireless headphones. There were over the ear ones, but they were plugged in. The teacher said, if I catch you with any headphones in during class, I'm walking by with scissors and I'm cutting them. And they were so serious, but they thought someone's insulin pump cord, so like their pump tubing, they thought that that was linked to headphones. And so they walked by, they cut the cord. So imagine somebody walks by and slices your tubing in half so that you can't get insulin anymore. And the person like turned around. I mean, they were in high school. They turned around and they like screamed at their teacher, like, what are you doing? Why would you do that? And the teacher was like, because I've told you not to have headphones in my class. And they pulled out their pump and they're like, this is my insulin pump. And so those, like, I mean, that's a very extreme example of somebody not understanding like what a piece of diabetes tech can do. But I feel like that's where a 504 plan can also be really helpful. Because it's like these are the need to knows, and like these are what my kid needs to ensure that they have the right care across the board, and they actually can like be a normal kid at school with diabetes. Like it shouldn't exclude them from anything. It shouldn't change how anybody treats them, except giving them the accommodations that they might require.
Okay, I have never heard that. So if it is you, please in the comments right now, tell me what your mama did. Right? Like I just want to know when you told your parents what that teacher did, what was that like? Because that is absolutely horrific. And yet at the same time, I can only imagine how often things similar to that are happening. I remember as a professor, the very first time I had a student who had an insulin pump asking for accommodations. Again, they didn't do the protocol, go to the school, force them to tell me. And she was just like, I have an insulin pump. And she was like pulling out this stuff. And I was like, I don't know what any of that is. If you need to leave or what, whatever the case is, again, I was a professor, so it's a little bit different than K through 12, but I was like, you have to handle yourself. Like, I'm not going to stop you from whatever. But I remember her like, I got an insulin pump. And I'm like, I'm sorry, I don't understand. And so I say that as a person that was an educator that didn't know.
Yeah.
Many of us just honestly have no idea. We don't know the importance of the phone. We don't know what the two means are. We don't know the beep. Like when you say, okay, I need everyone quiet, and then there's a beep or an alarm. Once I had a student, she was tanking during an exam, and she raised her hand and she's like, yes. And she's like, can I get juice? Because my blood sugar is it's low. And she shows me, I mean, she was really tanking. And I was like, yes, get your juice before we have a medical emergency, and then take the time you need to recover. Like now, as a person living with diabetes, I know you need to drink your juice or glucose or however you tend to deal with hypos, wait 15 minutes, see how you feel, and then you may have to repeat, right? So I couldn't ask her to continue taking this exam. She honestly needed that time out. So yeah, back to school it is. I'm excited to see school buses on the road. I'm excited for our kids starting new school years. I will now have a fifth grader. Those are the big dogs on campus.
Yes, I'll have a fourth grader. So
Look
they
at
are I think they're the small dogs in their class. They've got like an interesting class structure. Fourth, fifth, and sixth are together.
So yeah, if you have any questions or comments about back to school, some of the things that you enjoy doing, some of the things you're looking forward to, but also some of the things you have questions about, definitely go ahead and put them in the chat now. We'll answer them. And I do want to give a special shout out to Follow T1Ds, who they're really working on making schools be aware of the conditions of children with diabetes in schools. In fact, this week I saw on their page where they were creating a letter that says the cell phone is a medical device so that parents could go into school with those.
Wow, that's incredible. That's amazing. Okay, we got to put that resource in the description for sure. That's amazing, because that sometimes is the hardest part, is not knowing where to start. And one of the things that I would say is, like, if your child does not have a 504 plan at this point, like, now's the time. You want to do it before school starts if you can. If you can't do it before school starts, do it as soon as possible in the beginning of the school year. You can talk to your kid's endocrinologist. You can talk to your endocrinologist if you're in school and you're needing these accommodations. They can help outline the medical needs. And then there are also going to be like a team that you'll meet with at school. So the 504 team will be your kid's teacher, school nurse, any admin, and they'll develop the plan together. And then renew it every year, or when it needs to change. If needs change for your student, have another meeting with that team to make sure that they get the accommodations that they need. But you want to do this like ASAP, as soon as possible, because the first few weeks of the year are always chaos. There's always a lot going on. It might be hard to meet with people. And so do it as soon as you can so that you get the accommodations that are necessary.
Well, all right. I am going to wish everybody a wonderful back to school. We hope that you find your way in doing diabetes your way with back to school. This has been such a pleasure. Great conversation with you, Mila, learning about how you deal with getting back to school as a grad student. And I'm going to say sign off now.
Yeah, that's it. Let us know how you guys are doing diabetes your way. And if you want to be featured, we have a form at the link in our bio. We would love to share your story and share how you are doing diabetes your way, how you are thriving, what things work for you, and really show that everybody's got a different way of doing it. But like, there are great ways of doing diabetes. So glad to have you guys come or be a guest. We would love to have you.
Yeah.
And that's it for today. So we are signing off, peacing out, and we'll see you in the next one. Bye, everyone.